Hi everyone. Disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. This is not legal advice. This video is for entertainment purposes. I would like to go over the article provided by Investor Turf. It is important for us to gain more media coverage. Please share, retweet, or send the article link to others within your social network. FINRA is facing serious legal issues with multiple lawsuits filed against them. This article was provided by Investor Turf on March 25, 2023. FINRA currently has multiple lawsuits filed against them for security fraud. The three lawsuits that the MMTLP community know of are Rosa Towell, Richard Hofman, Alan Hensley, but there could be much more, especially if everyone decides to pursue legal action on their own. FINRA's legal litigations. The Financial Industry Regulatory Authority currently has multiple lawsuits against them. A lawsuit was filed against FINRA on December 12, 2022 in the Northern District of Florida for security fraud. Another lawsuit was filed on February 6, 2023 in the Central District of California for declaratory relief and security fraud. Wes Christian at Christian Levine Law Group is currently investigating a security and is expected to file a lawsuit against FINRA, market makers, and other bad actors. The lawsuits were introduced because FINRA halted the security MMTLP days prior to the company's record date to go private. This trapped millions of short positions and potential counterfeit shares and forced them into a private company. FINRA's halt also took away the opportunity for investors to sell if they didn't want shares of the private company. We can see one of the public documents made on January 18, 2023, that Warshaw, Burstein, Christian Levine Law Group, and other experts investigate whether tens of thousands of unsuspecting investors were fraudulently sold hundreds of millions of unauthorized, phantom shares of NextBridge hydrocarbons by market makers, broker-dealers, and other third parties. I would like to highlight the key words used in this document: tens of thousands of investors and hundreds of millions of unauthorized or counterfeit shares. Most likely the final details of these numbers would be revealed in the future. Hopefully the investigation being done, including Sharental, will give us a better idea of the magnitude of this situation. Or with legal lawsuits pushing for discovery, will reveal the actual imbalance of shares. Multiple companies, including AMC, have made complaints to FINRA regarding the large amount of failure to delivers in their stock. One of the biggest complaints that caused multiple lawsuits against FINRA is from the halt of MMTLP. Wes Christian states this security may be one of the biggest to expose counterfeit shares. FINRA and the MMTLP scandal. MMTLP was Metamaterials preferred shares. The company did not give permission to FINRA to have their preferred shares trade. It's alleged that market makers and hedge funds submitted fraudulent information to FINRA to have the security trade on the OTC markets. Metamaterials merged with Torchlight Energy in June 2021. All 65,000 Torchlight shareholders upon record date received a special dividend for every share they owned. This later appeared in investors' accounts as a placeholder until Torchlight's assets were sold or spun out into a private company. It was clearly stated in the SEC-approved proxy statement that the series of preferred shares were not to be listed or traded on any exchange. In October 2021, the preferred shares mysteriously became tradable on the OTC markets. The former CEO John Burda stated that fraudulent information was used and demanded the trading to stop. Torchlight Energy was heavily shorted prior to the merger, and majority of shorts didn't close out their positions. It's alleged that hundreds of millions of counterfeit shares got transferred to the preferred shares. This is why market makers used fraudulent information to have the company's preferred shares trade on the OTC markets. Short positions insisted investors to sell their shares, but instead investors bought the security. After the company announced they were taking the shares private and filed multiple S-1 forms, the stock rose over 1,000%, soaring past $12 a share. Torchlight Energy being heavily shorted was actually covered about 8 years ago. Back in December 1, 2014 and updated December 8, 2014, there was an article provided by Robert Gray, El Paso, Inc. Staff writer, titled, "Torchlight Weathers Short Attack Plan to Drill for Oil Near El Paso on Schedule." This article mentions the company's stock has taken a beating in the past several months. The price fell from above $5 in March to $1.10 in December. That is an estimated 80% drop or decrease in share price over 8 months. John Burda also has a quote in this article back in 2014 to investigate and take legal action against these nefarious actors targeting Torchlight Energy resources. I would also like to note that the $12 a share was achieved several days prior to the U3 halt because investors were not selling, and there is evidence that the turnover rate was less than 1%. The U3 halt of MMTLP. The record date for the private company was on December 12th, and the distribution date was on December 14th. Brokerages told their customers the security can still be tradable on those dates, and that short positions must be closed on the 9th or 12th. Multiple brokers sent statements out for forced liquidations if short positions were not covered. Then FINRA halted trading prior to market open on December 9th, eliminating the opportunity for shorts to cover and for investors to sell if they didn't want shares of a private company. FINRA uses the code U3 Halt for an extraordinary event but does not explain anything. This halt is the third U3 halt in history on an American exchange. This morning, shareholders were eagerly anticipating the closure of short positions following the SEC-approved S1 document in FINRA notices. Many had held their shares for 2 years since the Torchlight merger, hoping for this day when shorts, especially the illegal ones, would be forced to settle their position before NextBridge became a private company. The U3 halt has lasted more than 105 days, leaving MMTLP investors seeking Congress for help and legal actions that require a process to complete before justice can be served. FINRA releases a statement 100 days after the halt. On March 16, 2023, FINRA released a FAQ response to the MMTLP situation. This response is exactly 100 days after the U3 halt and is disingenuous to investors. FINRA takes fault and states the ticker had multiple coding issues involved. One coding issue is with FTD data, and the other coding issue is the official deletion of the ticker that lasted 2 months. FINRA also confirms there are still open short positions that are going to be transferred into the private company, and blames the broker-dealers for this occurrence. Experts say this is a big problem. You can't have short positions no matter if they are real or counterfeit in a private company. It's illegal. If FINRA truly had investors' best interests in mind, any concerns regarding the settlement and clearance process could have been addressed prior to the halt. Instead, FINRA conveniently decided to wait until December 9, 2022, with no notice to investors, to issue a U3 halt after the share price had been manipulated from highs of $12.50 all the way down to $2.90. Curtis, investors are asking if FINRA spoke to any broker-dealers, hedge funds, or market makers that may have had unsettled positions in the stock prior to the halt since the price dropped dramatically a day before the U3 halt. FINRA provides inaccurate information on how the ticker became a tradable entity. In this case, the issuer filed with the SEC a Form S3 registration statement for the offering of MMTLP shares and obtained a CUSIP number. FINRA, this is inaccurate. Torchlight filed a shelf S3 for all types of offerings, but not specific to Series A Preferred or MMTLP. In order for this S3 registration to apply, the company would have to specifically address the series in a resale registration S3, and then file a subsequent takedown notice once approved by the SEC for that purpose. A CUSIP number was obtained exclusively for the purpose of distribution of the Series A Preferred shares. Hopefully, these lawsuits will use the statements released by FINRA against FINRA. Not much update has been given from Rose's lawsuit. However, Richard Hofman has been diligently updating the MMTLP community on his developments and process to file additional paperwork when needed. We can see this on Twitter. Saturday night 7 p.m. Pacific in my office working on oppositions to motions to dismiss of bags. Since it has to be filed anyway on Monday and will be public thereafter, I will provide a preview either late tonight or Sunday. Richard also posted another update several hours ago. Gang back at it tonight. We'll be filing documents sometime Monday. If nothing else, it paints the defendants as criminally corrupt, and there is enough there to get a judge to take a serious look. Glad to burn the midnight oil for this community. I really appreciate all the hard work Richard Hofman is doing. He is providing more transparency with his lawsuit than any individual in the MMTLP community. I hope everyone will pay attention to his YouTube channel and support his efforts. What now? There are multiple lawsuits as investors are demanding FINRA to open trading for 2 days to allow shorts to close out their positions and to regain their 2 trading days. Investors are asking their community to contact Congress, governors, and elected officials on the MMTLP situation. The former CEO John Burda states, if we end up filing suit in that manner, we have what we believe are basically bulletproof items that will survive motion to dismiss, and then the discovery process starts. Discovery is a wide open door for us to understand actually who all the bad actors are. You know, broker-dealers involved, market makers, hedge funds, FINRA, DTCC, everybody's gonna get subpoenaed for their information. Shareholders are suggesting FINRA to release the securities blue sheets to the public, or to the two companies NextBridge Hydrocarbons and Metamaterials Inc. Blue sheet data typically include the names of individual clients, the amount of shares they traded, and when the transactions occurred. This could also expose the amount of counterfeit shares in the security. If FINRA is not hiding anything, they should be transparent and release this data to the public or companies. Many of the 65,000 investors were affected by FINRA's U3 Halt. Firefighters, doctors, teachers, veterans, and many more shared their story on social media. Looking at these pictures are sending a very powerful message that these are investors all over the world affected by FINRA's U3 Halt. We all want a resolution sooner than later, but we have to fight together and reveal the truth to everyone, because the MMTLP community will not go away. After 105 plus days of FINRA's U3 Halt, it seems we are making progress, but will take time. There are investors who are passively waiting, but sometimes waiting too long can be harmful to yourself. Some have taken legal action, and it might be beneficial to do so. However, this video is not legal advice, but may be worth something to look into. Currently, we are soon to hear from NextBridge Hydrocarbons and the management team. There is a rumor that a video would be released soon from NextBridge Hydrocarbons management to address specific questions from the MMTLP community. There is a pending S1 that should be addressed, and we as shareholders in a private company should deserve and demand more transparency. Hopefully, more good news to come soon, because in my opinion the management needs to boost investor confidence. If NextBridge Hydrocarbons can issue a dividend from the S1, then it would be a little relief and comfort for the shareholders. To end this video, I want to point out those that are not within your or my best interest. Obviously, most of the shares are bought with our respective brokers. The brokers have not lifted a finger to help resolve this issue. Broker-dealers are liable, and they currently hold investor NextBridge Hydrocarbon shares if respective shareholders did not transfer to a ST yet. Perhaps the only way the broker-dealers will start making progress for you is to start a lawsuit against your respective broker-dealer. Again, this video is not legal advice. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.